Comedy Simp, the podcast you can't resist. Stephen Michael James, the host you won't wanna miss. From Seattle to the world, his humor will persist. Join the fun, get ready to enlist. Spitting fire on the mic.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Comedy Simp. Yes, it's me, Stephen Michael James, all by myself. Why? Well, it took a while to get here, that's why. Let me walk you through the whole reason why I'm here doing this episode. First of all, it is New Year's Eve. It is the last night of the year, 2024. What a year. And I have been trying to do a podcast for the past 2 weeks. So the last time I did a podcast, I was at Sam's Open Mic, Whiskey Mile. It's a pretty good episode. We had Dennis A.K., and I just sat down with him, Casey Judson, Jordan showed up, Mike DeVore. Is a really good episode. And then the following week, I believe, was the Peace of Mind show, the Peace of Mind Brewing show. And so that was in Linwood, put on by my friend Nick Cody. It was the third Peace of Mind show. And I had everything all set up, ready to go for the podcast. I mean, it was going to be a good show. We had all these great comedians, people that I've known for a while that I haven't been able to do a show with. So people like, Danny Anderson, Maria Elizabeth, Noah Wen. And Peace of Mind is a really cool brewery. You know, it's there in Linwood. It's on 99. It's huge. It's like the size of a restaurant. And when you go in on the side entrance, they have this little room that's kind of off to the side. And we always thought that it would be a cool kind of like a green room, like a green room for comedians if we ever did regular comedy shows there, which it actually worked out pretty well. I mean, it had couches, artwork on the walls, coffee table, it was a cool little spot. So I was like, this will be great. This is a great background for the podcast. People could sit down. Maybe in between sets we could record some. Who knows? So I get everything out. I have a lot of stuff. Up until this last Christmas here, I was trucking around this 2008 recorder. This recorder made by the brand Fostex. So back in the day, I used to be in this band, and we used to record ourselves. And I had this digital recorder. It was called a Fostex MR16. It was a 16-track digital recorder. You could record tons and tons of stuff, vocals, guitar, drums, all over each other. Very cool tool for songwriting, back before computers became the standard. And I had one. I remember one night after a show, we played a show it was probably Kenny's Bar in Woodland, California. And after the show, I went home. Well, I went to my girlfriend's apartment at the time. She lived only a few blocks from my house, but I stayed the night there after the show. I left my equipment in my car. My guitar, a gym bag full of recording stuff, microphones, whatever. So I was probably only parked for less than 8 hours, just sleeping. Come out the next morning, and my back window was busted out, and everything that was in the back seat was gone. So these goddamn fireworks. It is New Year's Eve. Fireworks are going off. I live in Granite Falls. It's kind of like White Trash Central for Snohomish County, and they love the boom boom. They love the fireworks up here. I don't like it. I don't know when New Year's Eve became 4th of July Part 2, but I don't know. Fireworks are just a big waste of money. I mean, you're literally watching your money go out in flames. But yeah, back to that, the window got smashed in. I filed a police report, but, it didn't have any serial numbers, and it was Woodland, California. The stuff wasn't worth that much. The cops were not going to pursue it. So that recorder went bye-bye. Eventually, my dad, who I didn't even have a good relationship with at the time, he was able to track down the guitar, back from his old tweaker days. He found somebody who had the guitar, and he bought it back. And unfortunately for my dad, he probably paid more than it was worth. But, I mean, it was a cool thing for him to do. But he should have talked to me about it first. But again, I got that same recorder. I replaced it. I bought another one. Except the second one had this problem, and I've kind of talked about it on the show before, where if you would talk too loud, scream into the microphone, it would disable the channel. And that was some sort of a weird kind of safety mechanism, maybe to protect the hardware, but you would, I'd be recording a song in my bedroom, gets real passionate, I'm screaming, and then all of a sudden it just cuts out. So it was highly annoying, and I've had a few episodes during the podcast where microphones didn't work very well. I had to use like AI and the audio from the phone to try and make it sound all right. I mean, like the episode that we did with Joey Cruz and Jason McBride and Chloe Lynch, it was a really fun episode, but the audio was just terrible. So fast forward to Peace of Mind at Peace of Mind Brewing, the Tapped Out Comedy Show. That was December 21st. I had my equipment. I was all ready to go. And I'm looking for a plug. This room is probably like a 12 by 12 or 14 by 14 foot room. It's a pretty good sized little room. No plugs anywhere. No plugs behind the couch, behind the table. And then finally I found one plug in the whole room. It was in the ceiling of all places. And the longer I was there, the more I could tell like this room was added later. It wasn't like a original. It wasn't an original design of part of this brewery, but something that was added later. Maybe like a little party room or something. But one plug. It had an extension cord going out of it into the Christmas tree that was on display. But the plug itself was a 2-prong plug. And my recorder was a 3-prong. So, I didn't have an adapter at the time. And honestly, those adapters suck. Like, I always feel like I'm going to start a fire with those things because, it's old technology. So... So I didn't get to do a podcast then, and then following week, Whiskey Mile, day after Christmas, we had Andy Harder come out to the feature. I got there early, and nobody wanted to do a podcast. Nobody wanted to come. So that was that. I was all excited too because for Christmas, my wife Elisa got me this really cool new recording unit that I could do podcasts with. So not only I don't have to worry about that old like technology with it shutting off when you talk too loud, but also I don't have to worry about plugging it in because this thing is totally portable. So I've been really wanting to do something, just put something out there. Yeah, the other thing that's been holding this up is I just have felt really bad and really sick. The whole time during Christmas, just sick. Prior to the Tapped Out show, I was really excited to go to do a podcast at Whiskey Mile. Dante Barnett was supposed to be our feature, but unfortunately he had a little medical emergency and looks like he's doing better now. But I was gonna go that night, and I had a fever. I had a really bad fever. It was like almost 101, and just felt bad. So I was like, I'm gonna rest up. I had a fever for about 2-3 days, and then the Peace of Mind show was on Saturday. I managed to get through that, and then the next day on Sunday, I was just sick. I had sinuses, congestion, coughing. And that lasted for days, even through Christmas. I mean, I still kind of have a dry cough a little bit, and it's just sucks, man. It sucks getting older. I mean, I've never been sick, really, and maybe once a year at the most. I'm from Northern California, drier climate. So, yeah, the moisture up here in the air and the mold and the fungus, the Washington fungus, yeah. It's not good, man. It's not good for me. I even feel a little congested now, but I'm going to get through it because it's the end of 2024. Yeah, I got my wife, Elisa. She's here. She's not on camera, but, you know, if I say something that's a little out of whack, out of line, she might chime in and correct it. But I thought what would be a good idea then, seeing as it is the end of the year, is to talk about this year. You know, talk about 2024. What was it like as a comedian? You know, a second-year comedian. What was it like as a dad, a husband, a guy that switched jobs, just a man? Was it like being a man in 2024 in Seattle? So before I get to that, before I even get to the 2024, just recap. You know, I've kind of talked about it a bit, but started comedy at the end of 2022. Just hit my 2-year anniversary this month, but yeah, it was 12/12/2022, and I didn't do it again until 2023. So I had a little 3-week break in between the first and second time I got on stage. But you know, that time in my life, in my family's life, it was really rough. It was tough, and it took a lot of work to, you know, really look at what I wanted in life, what I needed to do to make myself happy and also be available to the people that need me. There was a lot of counseling involved, marriage counseling, and yeah, no, I'm all thankful for it. And during that time, it was when I started comedy. So the best way I could kind of describe the first year of comedy was it was just everything was new. You know, I started at Tony V's in Everett, Tony V's Garage, and did that a few times, then ventured off into some other places like the Shanghai Room in Seattle, couple other places in Seattle. Didn't really do any comedy clubs the first year until the very end of December. That was the first time I went to Tacoma, first time I went to Tacoma Comedy Club. And yeah, that first year, it was an interesting year. It was a tough year. You know, during that year, my wife got very, very sick and was in the hospital for a while. And there's a 2-month period that just had to reset and kind of think about things. And when you're a new comedian, everything is like really exciting, and you know, you feel like everything is an opportunity and you want to be there. You don't want to miss anything. You just want somebody to be able to see you. And so, you know, during that time when I'm at home and looking, spending all my time on social media, watching all my friends doing stuff, yeah, you get sad and you get that kind of that fear of missing out. But got through it, and towards the end of the summer started doing, you know, more stuff and getting a little bit better. And then I would say towards the end, like I said, the end of 2023. Yeah, I had a lot of things going on. You know, I had a really cool show in October at the Shanghai Room with basically all the people that I was friends with at the time, which I still like a lot of them and I love a lot of them, but you know, my best friends at the time, you know, David Altamirano, PJ, Rob Conroy, Nick Cody, Michael Aguilera, Femi, Chloe Lynch, Scott Coburn, you know, Cruz, Marcus Cruz, all these cool people. It was a really cool little thing, you know. It was a good way to kind of cap off the end of the first year, and then had some other stuff, had some other shows and things like that. I didn't write them all down because what's the point? Elisa, you want to chime in? Anything about the first year of comedy? That's okay. You don't have to. So, yeah, 2024, let's talk about it. It was a year. I think it was a really rough year for everybody. I think, honestly, the last 4 or 5 years have been rough on everybody. But I especially think this last one was tough because it was an election, which is always fun. But, yeah, there was like a lot of kind of some tragedy and stuff like that, which is... and a lot of like kind of sad stuff, but a lot of good things happened too. So yeah, let's break it down. What happened? First of all, January 1st, 2024, so almost a year ago. I remember this day. I remember it really well. And to be clear, for the first 3 months of 2024, I had a different job. So I had a really, up until this year, I was working for a garage door company, and I was doing garage doors, fixing them, going out to people's houses, replacing those broken springs, if their door was stuck, I was picking it up, that kind of, very crazy manual labor. I know most of the people in Seattle think I'm some sort of twink, but I'm actually a manly man, and I've been working nonstop since I was 18 years old, mostly warehouses and stuff, but yeah, physical labor, believe it or not. But yeah, I had the day off miraculously, New Year's Day, and I had previously, like the week before, gone to Tacoma Comedy Club for the first time, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the new Tacoma Comedy Club. They have a new location. The original one's on Market Avenue in Tacoma. So the new one's on 6th Avenue, 6th and Proctor. So I was going to go check it out. I didn't sign up prior, with comedians. If you ever want to go on stage on an open mic at Tacoma Comedy Club, there's 2 ways you could do it. The first way, the best way, the way that you're, better chance of getting on stage is signing up online. And you usually got to do that a month ahead of time. So you go to their website, you fill out some stuff, and then a couple days before the month starts, they send out a list, and they show you every date that an open mic is going to happen, and everybody who's on that night, and what spot you're going to have. So that's the first way. I didn't do that. The second way is what's called the bucket, and so every open mic, at least at Tacoma, they have 3 bucket spots. And what those are is there is a bucket that if you didn't get a chance to sign up, you can write your name on it, throw it in the bucket. And in 10 minutes before the show, the host is going to pull 3 names out. And so those people are going to be the lucky people to be added to the show that night. And then throughout the night, if somebody who had signed up previously online didn't show up, what they would do is pull another name out of the bucket. So you kind of have a chance. If it depends on how many people are there. So you could have a really good chance on a slow night to get up there, no problem. My friend Brandon White seems to get on every night at Tacoma Comedy Club, no matter what. But so I went there, signed up for the bucket. I didn't know a lot of people there. I mean, I've only been to Tacoma once at that time, but my friends David Altamirano and Wes Brenner were down there. They were both on. So went down there, watched them, and that was the infamous night where the comedian walked off stage and threw water on the patron. And I don't need to retell that story. It's a great story. I'm sure, I want to sit down with some of the people that were there that night and really, I want to hear them recap it. I did talk to Peter Artman, who was there, and we talked about that, but Mason A, I'd love to hear his perspective on it because that was my first impression of Mason was that night. So after about an hour, I figured I was not going to be able to get on stage. And Monday night, I knew that in Renton, they were going to have another open mic. Wes and David were already planning on going after their sets. So I just went ahead and I was like, I'm just going to go to Renton and I'm going to go check out that open mic. So I show up there and I see a couple people I know. I see Quinn Fitzgerald. I see Dan Berlin. I see a couple of other people and Allison Fine. And then, signed up. And it was a really good, it was January 1st of 2024 was the first time I had a set that I felt really good about, you know. It took, a year. I had a couple laughs here or there. I had like a really good joke in my first few months that made a cool video, but I never had like a full set that I felt really good about. And just so happened that night at the 907, there was like a game on, like a Huskies game or whoever I think it's the Huskies, the Washington team. It was going on, so there was still a lot of people there. And then they started the open mic a little bit late, and there was a nice little crowd there. So I got on at a good spot. I was probably the third or fourth person. I had a really good set, had some laughs. I told a couple newer jokes, and yeah, it was good. I felt really, really good about myself, and yeah, that's kind of that helped me out a lot. Sometimes in the beginning you need those little victories to kind of motivate you to move forward. But yeah, I mean, I went, Allison Fine and a couple other people. They had this group online called the Open Mic Collective, and as far as I know, they've kind of put it on pause for now, but they were booking places. They were booking open mics in Tacoma, Olympia, things like that. And so because of that, I was able to hit up, I went to 3 Magnets in Olympia twice. I went to Spuds, so both in January. I went to Tacoma, 6th and Proctor, Woodskis. I went to Woodskis for the first time, met Joseph Knight there, and had the Peace of Mind. And that particular show for Nick at the Peace of Mind in January, that was a really, really good show. Big, huge, full room, a lot of great comics. I think Femi had a really good set there, and Scott Coburn, and too many people to name. It was a good month. I think January was a good month. The one thing I'll say though is the second time I went to 3 Magnets, that was the first time where I told a joke where I really visibly made somebody upset. And it's tough. It's tough to kind of handle, like, you're just trying to be good, you're trying to be funny. I've had a lot of people tell me, like, don't worry about it. That's not your fault. It's, you can't control how other people feel. I understand, but still, like, it's just not in my nature to... I'm not one of those mean guys, I will be mean if you're mean to me, but I'm not like... I don't go straight onto the attack, so... Now, January, I don't really remember much else. It was a busy month for comedy and work. I am sure work was just, what I can imagine. I don't remember, but what happens usually with jobs is slows down at Christmas time, and then they'll say, well, it's Christmas time, it's a little slow, and then it slows down in January and February, and they say, well, it's after Christmas, so it's slow. So I imagine that I was really struggling to get work, and my schedule was probably really crappy. February was pretty busy too. February I went to Tacoma Comedy Club downtown. I went to Nate Jackson's. The 2 times that I went there was that month. One of those times was cool because there was like 7 of us in the whole place, and then Nate rolls in, Nate Jackson, the owner, and he just starts freestyling. It was cool. It was cool to see him just talk with the small audience. And he was getting ready to walk off stage, and then somebody was like, hey, what about Cat Williams? And Cat Williams had just had that big Shannon Sharp interview. So, then we just got to sit down and listen to 25 minutes of Nate Jackson talking about Cat Williams. So, yeah, man, that was cool. Big Time Brewing. The one time I went there, shout out Mike Heath. But, I don't remember there being a lot of people. And I think I did a terrible Cat Williams impression and not a very good set. I think I also remember I was like messaging Adam Tiller, because he was wondering. I think I was going to go to Big Time Brewing and then go to Tony V's, and then some people were trying to go to Tony V's and then Big Time, and it was too hard to hit both places. Did go to Tony V's, Halcyon Brewing. Femi tried to start a mic over where they have the Lady Bits show down the street from Shanghai. And, only had a few people there. Now, this is... February was a tough month because, my father-in-law passed away. It's kind of a rough time in our house. And, it was kind of a long time coming, one of those things where it's going to happen and you don't want it to happen, but it needs to happen. So yeah, it happened on Valentine's Day. Very convenient timing. But that week was the first time I went to the Whiskey Mile, which is basically I've been doing comedy at Whiskey Mile every month in 2024, other than January. I was there every month, at least 2, 3, 4 times a month. But yeah, that was the first time I went there. I met Sam Gross. He was this guy. I didn't really know him very well, but somehow I had connected with him, or he had messaged me and told me to come out. And yeah, he was a really nice guy. He bought me a drink. I really liked doing the comedy there because normally the only people that are at these open mics are comedians. And I was like, oh, Whiskey Mile. Wow, they actually have normal people here. This is cool, like to perform my jokes for people that are not comedians. And it was cool. And then that night I rushed out of there. I rushed out of Whiskey Mile because I was like, oh, now I found a place I could hit too, because every comedian's like always trying to get the numbers up, get the numbers, trying to hit as many open mics as possible. And I was like, okay, so what I can do is I can hit Whiskey Mile, and then I can go hit 4Bs. 4Bs, Bomb Shelter Comedy, run by Jay Marks. Jay Marks is one of my favorite comedians, and I will die on that hill. But this particular time, I think it wasn't really good interaction between me and Jay. I'd been to 4Bs 4 or 5 times, never had a really good set there. The first time I went was the second time that they ever had comedy there, the second time they had Bomb Shelter, and that was great. I mean, Ish was hosting. I was there with Nick Cody. I think I saw Danny Trevor John there. It was good, but every other time it's just been noisy. The pinball, the pool, the drunk people, the just rude people. It just wasn't a good time. And this particular time, February of last year, it was just awful. It was just so much loud, just chaos. I mean, there were people that just didn't even want to do their sets. I think Joey Mejia was there, and he was like, I'm not even going to do anything. So I was like kind of making this joke, like, oh, what if, the only way you're gonna get these people's attention is if you say the N-word. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna say that. Like, no. But I went up there and I was like singing the song "Rape Me" by Nirvana, which, was a popular song growing up. They played it on Saturday Night Live. They used to play it on 98 Rock all the time in Sacramento. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but my mic had cut off, and I was like, what's going on? And then it was like 2 minutes of me trying to figure out what was going on. I pulled the cable out, plugged it back in. people were yelling at me, but like I said, 4Bs was so loud I couldn't even figure out what anybody was saying. And what it turned out was he had cut my mic off as a joke, but also being serious, saying like you can't say rape on the microphone. And I didn't finish my set. I had just like tried to talk. I couldn't understand what was going on. I'd wasted like a minute and a half just trying to figure out the audio, and I was like, screw this. And I was like, I'm never going back to 4Bs. And then coincidentally, like a month later, 4Bs got shut down because somebody tried to fight PJ. So I wasn't there. You know, me and him maybe aren't on the best terms, but I don't think anybody should lay their hands on a comedian or walk up on stage or anything like that, because we're just like saying what we say. If you got a problem, why don't you get on the mic and you say what you have to say what that guy said was wrong, I don't like it, and this is why, you know. But just to get into some altercation, well, that is the R word. So yeah, that was February. It was a rough month. March, I went back to Whiskey Mile, Shanghai Room, Tacoma Comedy Club, 6th Avenue, the 907 in Renton, Tacoma Comedy Club downtown, Woodskis. I mean, I hit a lot of places in March, but just no memory other than, you know, probably just, you know, talking to Sam more, hanging out at Whiskey Mile a little bit more. You know, Sam and I were talking a lot, like texting or on Instagram Messenger, just about, you know, doing comedy there, trying to like build up Whiskey Mile into something cool. And we had a lot of plans. You know, he had talked about wanting to start other open mics and maybe do karaoke together, stuff like that. So yeah, going into March. It was, oh yeah, and also in March is when I started the podcast. I never really had any plans to do one, but, you know, I used to listen to Hell Yeah a lot, and some of the other comedians in Seattle, you know, Rain City Jerks and Fathom and Friends. I was like, you know, why not? I mean, I kind of thought about it like this, like every famous comedian has a podcast, or every comedian in Seattle has had one for a while and then they got rid of it. And really, you know, like people want to get invested in you. They want to know who you are, what you think. And some people just like you for the work, which is great. But the majority of people, they want to know more than they need to know. You know, they want to know, who is this guy? What does he think is funny? What does he think about this? If this happened, what would he do? Like, and so I was like, you know, I don't think it's bad. And the other thing too was to collaborate with my friend Rob. You know, I liked hanging out with him, talking with him. He was really funny, and that was kind of the main focus, was to just like do it with my friends. But yeah, it's turned into this really fun thing. I've got to interview a lot of people. Sit down with a lot of people that maybe I wouldn't have even that much time to get to know. But, I mean, people like Sherry Hardman and my man Rich Snyder, you know, Corey Bennett, like these people that, you know, maybe in normal life I wouldn't hang out with. But in comedy life, you get to, you know, connect with all sorts of different types of people. So, yeah, April was a tough month because, Sam died. Sam, he passed away, accidental overdose. He had cancer. He was going through a lot of personal problems. He didn't show up one night at the Whiskey Mile. We're doing our comedy. And right before I was about to go on stage is when one of our friends walked in crying with the news. So, yeah, went home after that. Well, actually, no, I went to hang out with PJ after that and Rob, and yeah, didn't do comedy again for a few weeks. Just wasn't sure what we wanted to do. Me and Jordan, we weren't really sure what we wanted to do. I did go to Draft Choice, though. I think it was in Auburn, but my man Tony Cardoza hooked me up with a gig there at Draft Choice, and some fun people there. JoJo Blacko, I think I rode with them. JoJo and I rode down there, and that was cool. Yeah, Allison Fine, all sorts of people, man. It was fun. Tony is a good guy, and that was a fun little mic, and it was a nice way to kind of get back into it after after taking a few weeks off. And then May was the Stand on Business show, and so that was a show that Rob had put together. Wes, who I talked about earlier, had a spot at the Central Saloon, Pioneer Square in Seattle, and he moved. He went down to San Diego with Joey Mejia, and so there was a spot, and all my friends at the time, my good friends, Jesse, PJ, Rob, we all wanted to put this show together. Felix, Jordan was on it, and yeah, man, it was. It just goes to show you that it's really hard to get people to go out to stuff, and it's really hard to sell tickets. It doesn't matter who you are. Even your best friends who you haven't seen forever, it's hard to get them to come out. At that time, I was actually, so in April I had started a new job, so I went from working these crazy hours, like, all the way till 10 o'clock to now I have a normal schedule. I got weekends off. I'm off every other Friday. I was sent down to SeaTac to do some training for a week. I was licensed for some shipping thing, and I met this girl down there who was in town for the training as well, and talked about the comedy. And so her and her friend came to our show, and it was awesome. It was really cool to do that, and the show it went down. I was the host. Scott Coburn was there. Jordan was there. Everybody did their sets. Rob wasn't there. Rob was going to do the show, but he had a really bad car accident, and unfortunately he couldn't make it. And then unfortunately there was just kind of a falling out that happened with those guys, and had to do with, it was just a lot of stuff, man. It was a lot of stuff with the drama, and with Sam and his ex, and the censorship of comedy, and people getting banned, and all I ever wanted to do was just help other people. I mean, one thing about 2024, which I really had to come to grips with, was I need to start putting myself first, because I can't buy friendships. No matter how nice I am to people, no matter whether I make them flyers or t-shirts or whatever, doesn't mean that they're going to be my friends. So I don't, I do it out of the kindness of my heart, but also, part of it is I want you to like me. It's like this, maybe it's something that every comedian has. Maybe it's just something that weak-ass minded people like me have. I don't know. But yeah, it was sad. It was sad. I was really kind of bummed out because as a man in your late 30s, you just don't, it's very rare that you have somebody be like, I don't want to be your friend. We were never friends. That kind of thing. And yeah, I got my feelings hurt. I was really sad about it, and then I got over it. And then I realized that this is just what happens in comedy, and this is what happens as an adult. And and friendships come in and they go out, and really got to do what's best for you and what's healthy. And I mean, I honestly, I'm cool with anybody that wants to be cool with me. Now, if you love the same stuff as me, if you love movies and comedy and fashion and all that kind of stuff, then I'm going to be more inclined to like you more because you like the same stuff as me. But just because, we got mutual respect. So, moving on to June. So we're about halfway through the year. there was a thing that I saw online advertised for a comedy not a competition, but for an audition for a comedy show called for Geek Fest. And so Geek Fest was a festival that happened in Everett, downtown Everett. All things geek, you know, video games, comic books, D&D, who knows, nerdy stuff. And they were going to have different comedians, national touring comedians come in, do like a Geek Fest comedy show, but then they were having a local comedian audition night, or they're going to have a Sunday night. They're going to have a whole weekend of comedy, and the Sunday was going to be locals. And so they were auditioning for that. So that audition happened in downtown Everett at this place called the Black Lab Gallery. And that was the first time I brought my wife to see me perform. And I was a little nervous because she had never seen it. But it was really one of the best things I could have done. First, I get to introduce her to JoJo Blacko. and then also, up until that point, I was doing a lot of comedy with notes. And I really was trying to break that habit a little bit, so I did a set without notes. I forgot maybe what seemed like 30 seconds was probably more like 5 seconds, but I did stall towards the end of the set, and ultimately I wasn't picked to be on that show. I never heard about how that show went down, but it sounds like there wasn't a lot of people there, which is unfortunate. But June, I hit a lot of places, man. I went to Club Comedy for the first time. And it was the only time last year I went to Comedy Bar. So I went to Club Comedy probably a couple times. Comedy Bar, Whiskey Mile. And then I also had the Bad Bar Comedy Show. So that was originally scheduled in May. It was put on by Mitch Shaw, Mary Hall. They do a lot. They've been doing a lot of stuff in Seattle for a long time. They have a website called Seattle Sound Comedy, and somehow I got asked to be on the show. I was really excited. It was Jay Marks, my boy, Jay Marks, Ben Whittle, Ishtiaq Qureshi, Courtney Brennan, and I don't know, maybe one other person. I think Lindsay Anderson, but she dropped out. And then the Bad Bar Comedy Show, like, it was going to happen, and then they decided to push it another month. So then showed up at Bad Bar, and, like, nobody was there. And again, not to fault anybody, it's just, it's hard to get people to come out to stuff. It's hard to get people to buy tickets to a comedy show, especially maybe a local comedy show where they've never heard of the comedians. But either way, performed at Bad Bar for the comedians, and it was a fun show. Had a good time. And, you know, a lot of times when you do these things, it's more of a bonding experience between you and the comics and less of another stepping stone in your path in your career. But yeah, June was fun. June was crazy. I don't know. Comedy Bar is one of those things that, like, I don't know. I don't know if I should go there or not. I don't know if they want me there. Like, I feel like I'm cool with the owners. I had a good conversation with Dane at the Comedy Voice. You know, I've messaged Jess a couple times. I'm definitely not like that Capitol Hill comedian. I'm not that polished either, but I mean, some people say some wild shit. JoJo says some wild shit. Juggalo Jake says some wild shit. Allie Knowles says some wild shit. And those are all people that are at Comedy Bar. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go. Maybe when I'm ready to go back, I'll go. But yeah, that was the only time I went this year. July was another tapped out comedy show. At Peace of Mind Brewing, with more Whiskey Mile, Tony V's, Tacoma Comedy Club, 6 Out. So what I didn't mention was in May. So after Sam's like funeral service, I didn't end up going to it because I didn't really know him that well. But they asked me to come to the bar after the service. I had to work anyways. So I went there and just talked to some people, talked to Jordan. Jordan really wanted to continue the mic and kind of keep it in Sam's honor, so we called the mic Sam's Open Mic, and it's been that ever since. So we've had a lot of cool people come out to feature, cool people that like are, you know, it's been fun. You know, it's been really fun. I've had people like Stephen Ryan, Ish, Joseph Knight, Chloe Lynch, Jason McBride, Wes Brenner, Ryan Padilla. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's been cool, and people like it. I've had people reach out to me. I've had like comics from LA saying, "Oh, I heard about Sam's Open Mic," and I've had, you know, Gavin in Tacoma say, "Hey, what time? How late you guys run? You know, if I come up from Tacoma." So wild, man. It's pretty wild. Other than the Tapped Out, so the Tapped Out show, these goddamn fireworks are annoying the hell out of me. Jesus, I'm living in redneck country. The Tapped Out show in July, not as good as the Tapped Out show in January. Not only was the turnout as good as well, it was like about half the amount of people. That was the day that Trump got shot. So it was the first. It was really weird. It's a weird energy in the air. We had a comic that was gonna be on that show that dropped out because she was so upset about Trump being shot. And yeah, it was weird. It was I don't know. So July, it was hot. I think the whole July we're just like getting excited for August, because August is a big month for me and my family. My wife and I have our anniversary on the 21st. Birthday's on the 25th. We tend to do a lot of like fun activities in August because the weather is the best here in Washington. So with no exception, we went down to Oregon, Eugene area where my brother lives. He has a convenience store. Shout out Goshen Market. Right off of, I don't know where it's off, but I'll put it in the description. But yeah, he started his own convenience store this year, and we did a podcast there. Went to Eugene, and I performed at an open mic for some people. I think it was the first time I've been to an open mic where there was like 3 comedians and way more audience. It was like, usually it's like a ton of comedians and no audience, but yeah, that was all right. It wasn't nothing crazy. I would like to check out some more stuff in Oregon, but it just, especially in the summertime, just didn't seem like the scene was happening. But we did get to go to Coos Bay also. My wife's uncle lives up there, and it was really nice just being like this quiet escape from all the chaos that's going on. So, you know, the Oregon beaches are weird because they're not as populated as California beaches. They're cold, they are rocky, they have a lot of wildlife, and you could probably drown in them, but...
Wind,
very windy, absolutely. But no, it was fun. We got to eat In-N-Out a few times, Del Taco, all my good food that you can't get here. Listen, I don't eat hamburgers, okay? I haven't had a hamburger since I was 18 years old. I'm almost 40. But I will go out and say, for the life of me, my daughter's life, I will say an In-N-Out burger is better than a Dick's burger. There's just no comparison. Blind taste test, people. You know? In-N-Out. And plus, even though I don't eat meat, In-N-Out has the grilled cheese grilled cheese veggie sandwich. Dick's, they don't even offer substitutions. So, come on, Dick's. Why don't you be open-minded? Come on, we're the Pacific Northwest. September was a Whiskey Mile, Club Comedy, Tony V's. That's pretty much all I went to in September for comedy. Except that was, first of all, Sum 41. That was the first concert we went to this year. I mean, you know, I've said before, guys, I've been to like 300 concerts in my life. You know, before our daughter was born, we would just go to like 5 or 6 a year. So it's slowed down quite a bit, but 2023, we did see a lot of bands. We saw Bad Religion, Less Than Jake, NoFX, Thrice. And so this year, you know, we had a few concerts. We saw Sum 41 as their final tour. It's a really good show. I really like the venue. It was the WAMU Theater. We were supposed to see Rise Against at the WAMU Theater a couple years ago, but like literally the week they were going to show up, we got COVID, canceled it. So I liked the theater. I liked it. The parking was okay. It took a while to get out of the garage. That sucked. Parking garages always suck after concerts, especially the ones that are like 5, 6 levels, because everybody's trying to leave at the same time. But I liked the venue. It was nice. It was, you could see from everywhere. It was a good show. I've seen bands that are a lot more engaged, a lot more unpredictable. But still, I'm happy. I'm happy we went. It was really great. We had got a cool poster. Behind me, this is the Sum 41 poster from when I was in high school. And this is from like 2002, you know, and then now I have one from 2024. So pretty wild that was that. Also, the one and only show that I've ever produced to date was in September. It was the Emo's Not Funny show. I've always wanted to do a comedy show, but never really thought about the logistics and stuff like that. And Whiskey Mile was nice enough to let me put it on. I got to basically do everything. I designed all the stuff. I picked out the people. I mean, Keon Larry, Jordan Macias, Nick Cody, Courtney Brennan, JoJo Blacko, all my favorite people. I mean, for the first show, if it's the only show that I do, I mean, I'm very happy with the turnout, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. We had balloons, we had gift bags, I made stickers. It was quite an event. A lot of people did karaoke afterwards, and you know, did some Hawthorne Heights, and some other people did some other emo themed songs. So it was cool. It was really fun. But however, literally the night before the show, so this show had 3 months. I mean, 3 months of just preparing, getting everything ready, the posters, the stickers, the flyers. I'm at a trampoline park for a kid's birthday, my daughter's friend, and like we're chasing each other, we're running, come down on the trampoline, and boom, something happens, my ankle pops, I go straight down, and I go, oh, like I do that whole, you know, like I want to cry, but then I realize I'm a grown man in a kid's play area, so I can't. And then my kid, she also fell. So then instantly my parental instinct kicks in. I get up, I'm walking, I grab her, I carry her to the little picnic table. And then my wife is like, take your sock off. And then it's like literally, my foot is more swollen than I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know that your foot can get that swollen. Like it was like the size of this microphone cover here in my foot. And it hurt bad. I couldn't bend it. I couldn't get my shoe on. And I was like, God, I gotta go have a show the next day. But eventually it worked out. You know, I bruised, got really like purple and blue, but nothing broke. And I limped for a little bit, but the show went up. It was good. It was a good show. Only sold a few tickets until like the last day, and then sold quite a bit of tickets. I'm just happy. I'm happy that all the comedians were funny. Every comedian got paid. I got paid a little extra for all the extra work I did. And think JoJo got like a nice connection with some people that showed up and might have some sort of project with them. So it was good. It was a good way to cap off September. And then going into the holiday season, my favorite time of the year, the last 3 months of the year, October, hit a lot of places. So, looking at this list here, it looks like I stayed away from Tony V's for the first few months and then pretty much hit Tony V's every month since then. And I think there's a reason for that. I think part of it is that's where I started comedy. Part of it is because that's where I get to see certain people that are not allowed to perform at other places, So if I want to see that person do comedy, I have to go to Tony V's. Tony V's is also like kind of... Sometimes it's a little wild, you can get away with a little, it's just, it's a staple. I feel like it's a staple, it's what I wish the Whiskey Mile was. And maybe it will be in time, but, it's all about the people that run it. I mean, Quinn Fitzgerald, Adam Tiller, I've had a lot of fun there. Did a podcast with Quinn there. Had a lot of conversations with Adam there. Had fun stuff, man. Fun stuff at Tony V's. More club comedy. More Tacoma. Whiskey Mile. All that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think club comedy, I've been trying to go there more too. It seems like the audiences there like me. At least my experiences. I've been on some of the Tuesday buckets. I've been on some of the Wednesday open mics. Missed a couple of those audition nights because I was too busy with Whiskey Mile, which is something that I'm really going to have to consider soon. I don't want to be the sole person running an open mic because it's not an open mic. It's my show, basically. Like, an open mic is kind of more of a... Like, if you look at the way Tony V's does it, if one of the guys is out of town, you got, like, Ish. And if the other guy's out of town, you got, like, J Marks. And so it's nice to have people to back up, to do that kind of stuff. October, I also did the... that was the Comedy Voice. I was round one of the Comedy Voice. Some people may not have agreed with it, but I made it through the round. Sherry Hardman picked me. I was the last person, number 20 of round 4. Made it through the first round, and it was really cool. It just kind of... Look, competitions don't mean anything, but sometimes they do. At least, like, in people's heads they do. Maybe in the long run, the grand scheme of things, they don't. But, if you go through, it means somebody thought you were funny. Somebody liked you. So, the first round, I made it through. Second round, I did not. But the thing about the second round was the first round I went number 20. The second round I went number 3. So I went the first round. It was like... God, I feel like the lineup for round 2 was like James Fitz, Crispin Melchor, and then me, So 2 guys that are kind of low energy and then Mr. High Energy. And so I don't really like going at the beginning. I'm kind of more of a middle guy, but, I can't blame the audience. Ultimately, maybe my material just wasn't strong enough. But, yeah. Like Brendan Meeks, man, that guy went on after me. He told some really great jokes and killed. So I don't feel bad because the better man went through that day. October though, and then Sherry had me on her podcast, The Diary of an Ex-Ho. So that was fun. I was not really a hoe, never been a hoe or an ex-ho, but still nice to be included on something. November was. Tacoma Comedy Club downtown, Whiskey Mile, Club Comedy, Shanghai Room, and also we saw Rise Against finally after years of missing them and COVID. And I mean, we've seen them a lot over the years. We saw them in 2013 in Reno, saw them in 2016 and 17 in Concord. We saw them in 2014 in Sacramento at Aftershock. So. Seen them quite a bit, but they just every time, man. Every time they're awesome. They're just a great band. Even, you know, over the last couple years, there's been some issues with like some punk bands that we like that not really demonstrating the most punk behavior. So for a band like Rise Against, who's kind of mainstream, who's made a lot of money, they still have like a lot of cool, you know, punk ideals, you know, and they talk about you know, some of the things that are important to them. So it's nice to still see that out there. And then December. So this December, yeah, it's the last day of the month. A lot of stuff happened this month. First of all, we had a concert at the beginning of the month. It was Census Fail. Saves the Day was there too, but you know, we've already seen Saves the Day at Warped Tour, and yeah, they're all right, but they're old. They're old guys, you know. It's kind of before our time too. You know, we're kind of more of the Hot Topic emo people, not the Midwestern emo. But yeah, that was a great show. Really fun show. At the very end, a couple of guys from Save the Day came out on stage with Census Fail, and they played My Chemical Romance song, which is nice. You know, good tribute. But yeah, I had a lot of shows this month. It's actually the first time in the 2 years I've been doing comedy that I had 3 shows. So the first one was at Cat's West Side Stories up in Mount Vernon. So this guy Ben Menard, he books up there, and he was looking for some people and asked me to be on it, and I was stoked, man. It was a good show, nice crowd, nice atmosphere. You know, you think Mount Vernon, you kind of think it's kind of hick country town, kind of like where I live in Granite Falls, but no, this was kind of like, I described it as like, this is where the freaks of Mount Vernon hang out. Like, you go in there. In the bar, there's like a skeleton on a bicycle hanging from the ceiling. There is, you know, mannequins with Christmas lights wrapped around them. So it looks cool. Fun vibe. Jerry Barnett was on that show. Doris DeSouza. More people, man. More people. I don't even remember everybody. It's hard to remember. But yeah, it was a fun show. And who else was there? Alex, the guy I just saw the other day at Whiskey Mile. Alex, I don't know your last name, man. Suarez, I think, but I could be wrong. Alex, he just did a podcast with Jordan. He was there. He works at Last Laughs Comedy Club in Abbotsford, Canada. So that was cool, man. It was really cool to kind of hang out with him too. More Whiskey Mile. Did a show. Doris had a show called Gory Giggles at the Overkill Lounge in Tacoma. And the Overkill Lounge is kind of like this heavy metal bar. You know, you first walk in, there's a picture of Lemmy on the front. And there's pinball machines and cool atmosphere, but not a lot of people, man. Unfortunately, it was very reminiscent of the Stand on Business show, just the comics and the stage. But I got to meet some cool people that night. Joseph Rogers, comedian out of Bremerton, really funny dude. And Paul Goodwin, hilarious. Both these guys just awesome. And then some friends, Daryl Bivens, Hans Cisneros. They're all good people who put that show on. So that was fun. Unfortunately, that Overkill Lounge, they're shutting down. You know, it's tough days, tough times to run a business these days. Speaking of shutting down, Nate Jackson's Super Funny Comedy Club shut their doors. They just opened in 2020 or 2019. I think what happened is they opened in 2019, and then COVID happened, and then they shut down, and then since then, it's been tough. You know, it's been tough. I mean, there's a lot of comedy clubs. There's Laughs. There's Tacoma. Tacoma's got a second one. There's Club Comedy. So the one thing about Nate's is it was like the black club. You know, it's the place where black comedians could gather. And so sad that that's gone, but it's not surprising because they were connected to a Holiday Inn. So who knows what kind of, you know, rent you're paying. You know, you're paying for like a really nice parking lot, even if it is in And then Peace of Mind, more club comedy, and then Peace of Mind. So we did one more. Nick Cody had a charity show at Peace of Mind. The Peace of Mind tapped out comedy brewing, whatever you want to call it. That was when I tried to do the podcast a couple weeks ago and couldn't do it because of the plug. Yeah. So the show was okay. You know, it's clear to me that it's time to write some new material. You know, a lot of the jokes that I told are similar to jokes that I've told there before, that just don't feel as fun, as exciting as they used to. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was still a good show. We had collected a lot of toys. We gave away some stuff. It wasn't as organized as I would like it to be. And then, like, the time, I was really screwed up on time because I thought we were ahead of time, and then we ended up actually being behind. But so many good comedians, man. We had Maria Elizabeth, Known Wen, Keon Larry, The Big Funny, Travis Simmons, Danny Anderson. You know, the list goes on and on. Kevin Schwan. Yes, gotta mention at least one Asian in this episode. Kevin Schwan was there. No. I guess Noah. Sorry, Noah. You are an Asian too. But yeah, that was it. That was the last show. And then, yeah, that's it for 2024. Kind of the main things. I mean, I didn't really talk about the election or Haktua or anything like that. But yeah, I'm glad the election's over. Who knows? I mean, everybody's just in panic mode right now, which is, everybody thinks that like the worst thing is going to happen, but who knows? You know, the worst thing is going to happen, but it doesn't matter who's the president. You know, it's just gonna things are just gonna go bad. We got drones coming out of the ocean, probably looking for some missing, nuclear missiles. We got, climate change and homeless and all sorts of crazy stuff. People getting sick, talking about the bird flu, COVID, everything. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah, exactly. Holy cow, how much time have I done? I have talked for over an hour just by myself. I feel like I've been going nonstop. Have I been going nonstop?
Yeah.
I've been going nonstop. Holy cow, guys. I guess I can carry a podcast, huh? Just like I'm carrying all these comedians' comedy careers. Let's talk about wrap this up. 2025. Things I'm excited about. Things scared about. Goals for 2025. First of all, I have a big. I don't know if it's big, but I have a surgery coming up on the 9th. Hernia. I've had a hernia for a while, probably from back when I was doing the garage door work. But if you don't know what a hernia is, go look up Dave Attell. There's a sketch on his album Skanks for the Memories called Shaved Balls, and he'll tell you all about a hernia. But I got to get that fixed. So they're gonna do a couple incisions and inflate me with some gas and shove some little robot arms inside of me and fix that old hernia in my groin. So I'm gonna have to take a week off of just resting, relaxing, not being crazy. I decided not to sign up for Tacoma, obviously for that reason. But my boys, my friends, Mason, Macy, Logan, they have a new show in Tacoma called the Backroom Bullies, something like that. Back. I think that's what it is. Backroom Bullies. So that's gonna be every Monday at Tacoma Comedy Club, starting the 13th. I might check that out if I'm feeling up to it. Tomorrow I got the New Year's New Jokes show. So that's a show with 50 comedians, all telling new jokes. Every comedy club has their own version of it. I was really excited to be asked to be included on this one. Some people that I thought would be on it are not on it, and I really feel bad for asking them because they're probably getting that fear of missing out just like I had. But the people that I asked, they have nothing to worry about because they're busy. They're doing their own stuff. So yeah, and then Allison, she's booking the Lucky Strike bowling in Bellevue, and gonna do that in March. So it's the only things that I have lined up. We'll see what happens with Whiskey Mile. It's been almost a year that I've been going there. In May, it would be like a year of running it as Sam's open mic. And, you know, I just, like I said, I don't want to be the sole, you know, person behind it because ultimately it's not my place. I don't own it. There's certain things that I would do, but because I'm not the owner of the bar, I don't feel comfortable like doing that kind of stuff because, you know, it's just not mine. You know, it would be nice to, if I had my own place, obviously it would be a little bit different. But I want to keep it going. I want to have other people kind of, if I can get other people involved as far as hosting, and maybe we can rotate hosts, kind of like the Shanghai Room does, where, you know, different hosts for different nights. That'd be nice. Or every other week we have different hosts. I'd really love to, this is really just stretching it far, but if for some reason I came into some money and I was able to do it, I'd like to come down to California and maybe do something in Sacramento. So some of the people that I know, family, friends could see me, but other than that, I think the big thing for this year is just keep the grind going. I'm going to keep doing the podcast, keep talking to people, meeting people, establishing these like relationships, and hopefully one of these clubs takes a chance on me. I feel like my best chances are Tacoma Comedy Club because of the style of comedy I do, but who knows? I mean, maybe Club Comedy. Rick Taylor seems like a good dude. One thing's for sure, Laughs Comedy Club, no, they have no interest in me. I already have a rejection from them. So Laughs, you ain't gonna see me at Laughs. And I'm not in the Washington's Funniest Mammal contest either because, again, not interested in me. So doesn't matter though because I still got me, and that's all I need. Yeah, I don't know. If you want to see, come to the Whiskey Mile every Thursday. We do Sam's Open Mic. You can follow us at Sam's Open Mic Comedy on Instagram. It starts at 9:15. We usually run for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the comics, how many show up. We have a feature every week, so we have somebody come in that does like kind of a longer set. Sometimes we get people from out of town. I mean, we've had people from LA, people from Canada, people from Tacoma. Like lots of people come up to do a feature spot, and it's kind of becoming a regular thing in the scene. So that's cool. I do this podcast, Comedy Simp. I'm not gonna tell you where to find it because you're already listening to it. Stephen MJ Comedy on Instagram, YouTube, Stephen Michael James on TikTok. But depending on what happens, I mean, TikTok could be banned in the U.S., but screw TikTok anyways because I never get any good views on there. Anytime I post anything, it's like a shadow ban. They don't like my content. So I ride with Instagram. I ride with, what's his name? Mark. From Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg. I ride with the Zuck. I ride with Instagram. I ride with the Zuck. I got nothing else. This is the first podcast on the new recorder, so I hope it sounds good. And if you made it this far, you have mental issues and you need to get yourself checked out right away. Happy New Year. See you guys on the stage. All right.
Rising up in the comedy scene.
Wow.
He's a force to be reckoned. Comedy Simp. the podcast you can't resist. Stephen Michael James, the host you won't wanna miss. From Seattle to the world, his humor will persist. Join the fun, get ready to enlist. Spitting fire.